They came at dawn, not ours but theirs. Dawn on the colony world of New Carthage, a frontier jewel of humanity, a city of glass spires and oceans harnessed into shimmering power grids. It was a place of gardens, universities, and laughter, not fortresses. Children learned to sail star yachts on its calm seas. Farmers shaped alien soil into fields of gold. New Carthage was young, proud, vulnerable. The Arca Dominion descended without warning. No declaration, no ultimatum. Their warships tore through the planet's defense satellites as if swatting gnats. The orbital ring, symbol of humanity's reach, shattered in arcs of fire and falling steel. To the Arca, this was not war. This was theater. They broadcast the attack across subspace, turning slaughter into spectacle. Their admirals boasted on open channels, jeering that humanity's age of expansion had ended, that the ape descendants had dared to step too far into the Dominion's claimed frontier. The colony's governor pleaded for mercy. Civilians were herded into the plaza of the capital, forced to kneel before alien cameras. The Arca executed the human envoys live, their laughter echoing through every frequency. One of their warlords spat a single phrase into the feed. "Your story ends here." And then they burned New Carthage. Cities dissolved beneath orbital fire. Forests became ash seas. Millions died in silence, their screams muted by the vacuum as atmosphere was ripped away. And when at last the smoke cleared, the Arca left only ruins drifting in orbit, a monument to their arrogance and a message to Earth. The Dominion thought the lesson simple. Humanity would recoil, submit, and never rise again. They had written our ending, or so they believed. The arrogant feast, in the halls of the Arca High Assembly, celebration erupted. Goblets of fermented ichor clashed together, and the warlords reveled in the spectacle of human defeat. "They were weak," hissed one commander, his scaled lips curling. "Too fragile to hold the stars, too sentimental to rule them. They build colonies like hatchlings stacking toys," another sneered. "And we crush their toys beneath our claws." Across the galaxy, Dominion governors parroted the same line. Humanity was finished. To them, Earth was nothing more than a quaint, green relic, an origin world of a species too civilized, too restrained, too bound by its endless talks of law and treaties. The Arca fed their arrogance with ancient history. Humanity, they claimed, was the newcomer at the galactic table. The Dominion had shattered empires older than Earth's first cities. What could apes bound once by oceans and stone huts possibly offer in defiance? So the warlords laughed. They mocked the survivors who whispered vengeance, and they broadcast their victory across star networks as a warning. The galaxy listened, and it nodded in silence, for surely they thought Earth would grieve, but it would not act. Humanity was too young, too naive, too small. The silence before the storm for a time, the galaxy believed them. The news feeds from Earth grew quiet. Human envoys withdrew from councils, their representatives silent in chambers that once rang with passionate speeches. Human fleets no longer patrolled contested borders. The stars seemed to witness a species bent beneath its grief, paralyzed by the scale of its loss. The Arca mistook this silence for surrender. But silence, to humanity, has never meant defeat. It meant waiting. It meant building. It meant sharpening vengeance into a blade. Within the vaults of Luna's arsenals, ancient designs stirred. On Mars, shipyards that once crafted peaceful explorers shifted into foundries of war. In the hidden stations beyond Saturn's rings, old codes were whispered into existence again. Codes of total mobilization, never before seen in the stars. The galaxy watched, uncomprehending. It mistook Earth's quiet for weakness. But when the silence broke, it was not with speeches. It was with a single transmission, carried on every band, from the core to the rim. To those who think us broken, humanity does not yield. We do not forget. We do not forgive. You wrote our end. Now, we rewrite. And then the fleets moved. The awakening of iron. They emerged from the void not as explorers, but as executioners. First came the dreadnoughts, vessels the size of continents, armored in layers of alloy no weapon had pierced. Their hulls were blackened like obsidian, absorbing the light of stars, blotting them out as if night itself had come alive. Where they sailed, suns dimmed. Then the carriers, each vomiting forth wings of warcraft, squadrons of interceptors armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen, weapons that screamed as they fired, leaving trails of molten light across the void. The infantry followed, not in scattered transports but in titanic landing craft, city ships that unfolded into storm fronts of steel and fire. Humanity's soldiers disembarked not as men and women, but as something reborn, encased in powered exo-armor that turned them into walking juggernauts. Their footsteps cracked mountains. Their rifles turned fortresses into sand. The Arca did not believe it at first. They thought the first dreadnoughts illusions, relics raised from old war stories. They thought humanity incapable of such scale. But when the first Arca outpost was obliterated, reduced to glass before a single distress call left its gates, they understood. Earth's fleets moved with precision. They did not raid. They did not posture. They erased, world by world, system by system. The vengeance of humanity spread like wildfire across the Dominion's borders, and always, the same transmission preceded the assault. You thought our end written, but we rewrite. The inferno of retribution. The climax came at the Dominion's core. A star system ringed with fortresses older than Earth itself, defended by fleets countless in number. Here, the Arca gathered all their might, sneering that humanity could never breach their heart world. They expected fear. What they received was annihilation. The sky darkened as the human armada arrived. Hundreds of dreadnoughts arrayed in silence, their hulls glowing with the reflection of 1,000 suns. Carriers unfolded, unleashing storm after storm of strikecraft. Battleships moved into formation, their cannons charging with energies stolen from the fabric of space-time itself. When the order came, it was whispered. A single word, heavy as judgment: fire. The galaxy would remember what followed as the inferno. Humanity's weapons did not simply destroy. They unmade. Planets cracked open beneath kinetic barrages. Fortress moons vaporized in eruptions brighter than dawn. Dominion fleets, proud and endless, dissolved beneath the relentless advance. Every volley carved scripture into the void, every blast a verse of vengeance. And when the infantry descended, it was like a storm of gods. Soldiers in steel exosuits fell from orbit, landing amidst alien cities with the fury of meteors. Streets burned, spires toppled. Entire legions of Arca defenders were swept aside like sand before a tidal wave. No plea was heard, no surrender accepted. Humanity had learned from the Arca themselves. Mercy is weakness, and weakness is death. The Dominion that had once mocked Earth now begged for its life. But there was no answer. Only fire. The echo of silence. When at last the guns fell quiet, the Dominion was no more. Its proud banners were ashes drifting in vacuum. Its throne world was a wasteland, its cities glassed, its warlords hunted down one by one until only silence remained. The galaxy stared into that silence, horrified, for they had witnessed something they could not unsee. The patience of humanity is vast, but its vengeance is infinite. Across trade routes and council halls, whispers spread. Whispers of dreadnoughts that blot out suns, of soldiers who descend like storms, of the transmission that precedes every human war fleet, carrying words now carved into the marrow of galactic memory. You thought our end written, but we rewrite. No one laughed at humanity again. Not the fractured remnants of the Dominion. Not the distant empires who once dismissed Earth as a backwater. Not the neutral traders who once thought humans soft. They had seen the cost of provoking Earth, and the cost was extinction. From that day forward, a new truth anchored the galaxy's fragile peace. Never provoke humanity, for our silence is not surrender. It is the sound of vengeance sharpening its blade, and when that blade falls, it does not stop until the stars themselves bear witness to justice.